Aloha, everyone, and mahalo. Thank you for tuning in. I am I was really moved to share my perspective of the upcoming Lunar New Year, which begins February 1st. It is Year of the Water Tiger, and wow, what a year it's going to be. I was looking at the Chinese astrology and the Western astrology, and what I know from my perspectives as a Hawaiian cultural practitioner. And while my feelings are that this is a strong year for coming home to ourselves, for understanding what we stand for, our values, our practices, our traditions, and we call this mo'olelo in Hawaiian culture. So a tiger, and I know tigers well because my mother-in-law is a tiger, so I spent lots of time studying tigers. So tigers are about really strength and like fierce strength, right? And being able to accomplish goals because of this like tenacity, because of this great power of observation and planning and knowing when to move at the right time to what? To really accomplish your goal. Um, and that's what tigers are known for in terms of like knowing when to strike to accomplish their goals. When I look at the water, I look at it from a very Hawaiian perspective, which is kawai the waters of life. Depending who you speak to, over 45% or to 85% of our body is created from water. And in the Hawaiian tradition of manifestation, and I'm speaking from the tradition I was taught, which is from a Lono tradition by my elders. I'm not speaking for all Hawaiian people. So, in the tradition that I was taught, it's to be very cognizant that our breath contains moisture, and moisture is water. So, what we say manifests. It gives life force and begins to manifest into life. So, what we say about ourselves, what we say about other people, what we say about situations actually creates energy and a life force and has the ability to manifest and not only affect ourselves, but everyone around us, and so on and so forth as it ripples into the universe. And for this, I really like to look at Dr. Emoto's work. Many of you might know Dr. Emoto and his like groundbreaking work about water, right? He was able to capture through photography the crystalline structures of water. So for instance, if you were to give a directive of do that, the water crystal looks pretty dense in comparison to saying or issuing an invitation of let's collaborate, let's play together. The crystalline structure is so beautiful. It looked like this etheric snowflake. So different. So imagine when we say something, right? When we articulate and our ha or our breath of life is going out there, it affects our own molecular structure and it affects those around us, their structures. So do we want to be life-giving or do we want to be the opposite and take away life? The year of the water tiger really suggests that this is going to be a very emotional year because water in Chinese tradition is about emotions. I bring this right back to our mo'olelo, our values, our stories, our practices, our traditions. Like, how do we express ourselves? What kind of emotions does it yield? Does it bring joy or does it create the opposite? So be so clear, really, about what we call kawai or the waters of life in our own body and how then our own energy affects those around us. This is also going to be a year when we're going to see more earth changes, particularly a lot of things happening in the water element. And we've already began to get a glimpse of this as we move closer to the new year. So we're going to be seeing more attention placed to traditions and how we take care of water or how we don't, especially as water in many places is becoming more rare. Their sources of water are becoming more rare. They're becoming more polluted. So how are we going to caretake water? It's suggesting that we look at our relations not only to water, but nature in general. So this brings us back to a Hawaiian practice that we call lokahi. Lokahi means harmony and unity, and in practice, it is our relationship and our interdependence between divinity at the apex, our higher source, nature, and each other. Now, our ancestors, knew the importance of being in connection and interdependent with all three realms, with higher source or divinity, nature, and each other, understanding that we can survive and go beyond survival to thrive if we take care of one another. So this year of the water tiger, is really asking us to look at this lokahi, well-being model by the Hawaiian ancestors of this interdependence between all three realms and a relationship. Do we have a relationship or do we not have a connection? Now, if anything, the pandemic has really brought in the importance of connection, right? So we didn't think about the importance of being in connection with each other and nature and with a higher source before this time. It certainly has brought it in. So when we look at where we're moving into, right, this year of the water tiger, not since 1776 have we seen this kind of energy in Earth. And in 1776, this is the time of the Revolution, the American Revolution, which pitted family member against family member because of different values, different practices. And if you look around, whether there's social movements or understandings or consciousness, right? Like Black Lives Matter, for instance, like all lives matter as well, is what we're now like moving forward, right? To and I say that not to take away from the impact of Black Lives Matter, but we're going back to lokahi, right? Which is harmony and unity, knowing that all lives matter and that we are all part of each other. We are part of nature and part of divinity. When we look at things like global warming, where we're seeing more earthquakes occurring, when we're seeing more situations with water, when we're seeing basically more eruptions in our fragile, very fragile fabric. So this is the year that we are coming home to ourselves by understanding our truth, our values, our practices, our mo'olelo, right? Our mo'olelo and what we're willing to stand for. It is really a year of understanding why we're here and what we're here to do, even more than ever. Now, modern science is really showing that we are hardwired to be in connection with divinity, with each other, and with nature in order to thrive. So the emphasis is on this. But if we look at the year of the tiger, we understand that this is about strength through resilience. And what you're hearing is our kitty girl that's mewing. So I'm taking that as a sign that she's wanting to be heard, right? Because she's a little tiger. That we really understand that we understand what we call our kuleana, or a sacred agreement in life. And Ku is a Hawaiian, one of the four major Hawaiian gods that gives life, that also takes, and he also takes away life. Ana is a measurement of time. It's also a plan. So kuleana suggests to me a divine plan, a divine agreement that is your authority, that you either inherited and or also inherited and have like earned, right? In terms of how you are here to be of service so that we can co-create a more regenerative new earth. Year of the Tiger. So, Year of the Tiger is also about understanding that we gain strength and resilience through our life experiences. And then we harness that wisdom, right? So that we do know how to move forward to accomplish our goals. So now when we look at water, I mean, here in Hawaii, I'm always going to be going back to our ocean and the waves. And nalu is the Hawaiian word for wave. And so when we are able to like take an overview, right, like a tiger would, and understanding what our goals are and how to actually plot the methods and how we're going to accomplish our goals, what do? We're actually like looking for the perfect time to catch that wave and catch that wave home. Now, nalu also means the amniotic fluids. So to me, this suggests hanging out, just like being incubating in that rich, nurturing amniotic fluids and creating that plan, bringing in the influences, listening to divinity, listening to the ancestors during your research before you take that impeccable movement forward, catch that perfect wave that will bring you home to yourself, right? And also to your goal. So this is a tremendous year for moving forward. If we can really look at our emotions and how our emotions can bring us on this path forward, right? To pay attention to our emotions because it's really informing our body on how we feel. So informing our emotions and how we're going to take care of our emotions. And there's our kitty like still mewing. So I'm coming. So to pay attention to our emotions. And so in Chinese medicine, our emotions are what are really the seat of our emotions are in our kidneys. And what's on top of our kidneys is our adrenals. So this is a year that we really pay attention to nurturing our kidneys and nurturing our adrenals. Because as we are in this place of like really, really understanding who we are, what we stand for, and really like refining our mo'olelo, refining our stories during this very tumultuous time, then this really suggests that our emotions and our adrenals are going to be affected. So drink lots of water, spend time in the water, whether it's in the ocean or in clear water, and make sure that we know how to harness the power of water to cleanse and to nurture ourselves. So drink plenty of pure water. Plenty of pure water. So to recap, Year of the Water Tiger is really about understanding that there can be a lot of trials and tribulations, but we can learn from those trials and tribulations. We can harness the wisdom from the trials and tribulations, understanding that this is a tremendous time of emotions as we are understanding more and more about what's important to us. What are we willing to take a stand for? And then moving forward. But taking the time, right, to have an overview like a tiger and plan so that we can catch that perfect wave home. And Nalu, right? Surf on home, come home to ourselves, accomplish our goals. And that this is a time of understanding our interconnection and interdependence between a higher source, divinity, nature, and each other, and that this is the connection is what's really going to move us forward to co-create the life that we want for ourselves, that we want to co-create for all our relations and certainly our global families as well. So that's my overview of Year of the Tiger. We're going to be seeing lots more earth changes as well. So to go back to this well-being tradition, Hawaiian tradition of lokahi, to understand that we are part of, on the very apex, divinity. We are part of nature, and we are part of one another. And in order to survive and to go beyond survival and thrive, all three must take care of one another. And that's the secret to a happy life. So, from our home to yours, as we say here in Hawaii, Goingi Fat Choi, Happy New Year. Happy New Year of the Water Tiger. May you and all your relations thrive in every way. Aloha.